Hey everybody, welcome to the next project. We are working on episode 2 of our Epiphone Les Paul with a broken headstock, codename Juvenile Delinquent, Reneck project series. Now, this is kind of the first standalone episode of this series. There was a kickoff episode where I was taking the neck out of an LP and a 335. That all went really well. We'll take a quick flashback look at that as we start this project. But we're getting a lot done in this episode. We're getting a neck roughed in, getting it to fit. Whew, a lot to do. Let's jump right into it and get the next project rolling. All right, getting up to speed. We are jumping back in time to take a look at what brought us to where we're starting today. We pulled the frets out of the fingerboard off the neck, drilled some holes along the sides of the tenon of the original neck, used some foam cutting heat probes to slide down into those holes, and also a heat gun to warm things up, and popped the neck out. Surprise, the heel was in 2 pieces. This guitar is getting a new neck made from a 1-piece maple block. It's a 3-inch by 3-inch by 36-inch piece of turning maple. You know, it's made for probably baseball bats or table legs, something like that. I quite often look for these and I find ones that have nice straight, like quarter sawn grain, not something that has wonky grain and knots and everything in it. Those do exist. So here I'm marking out, using the original neck as a template and a guide, marking out where I want everything to be. We will be keeping the 14-degree headstock angle of the original neck. And now we're figuring out where our center line is for the truss rod. And this will be getting a spoke wheel adjustable truss rod that will be adjusted at the heel, just in front of the neck pickup, just behind the 22nd front, right in between those two. Truss rod trenching. I have tried a lot of different ways to go about cutting in a truss rod trench. I've used a couple different router processes. I've used my table saw. What else? Grenades, rocket launchers, just about everything. Here I am using a palm router and a side guide, which is basically just an adjustable angle piece that mounts onto the base of the router, which I have then attached a strip of wood to so it stays nice and square to the neck blank that I'm using. Here I'm using a 1/4 inch, I think it's a spiral, probably a down cut bit. Determined which way the bit wants to work best, which direction I'm running with the neck. One will pull the guide against the block of the wood. If I go the other way, it's trying to push the guide away, so you get a wavy cut. If that doesn't make sense, do some routing and you'll understand. Going in one direction seems to work better than trying to go in the other. I'm getting a little off track here. Here I'm measuring the depth and the size of that end nut, the spoke wheel nut on the end of the truss rod. And there's a couple ways I could go about opening up the recess for that. The way I'm going to do it is to drill a hole, basically, that will be just a little bigger than the spoke wheel nut. Another way would be to cut the neck to length and then route a channel vertically that would be big enough for the spoke wheel to fit into. Horse apiece, decide what you want to do. Here I'm doing a little more routing to open up the end of the truss rod slot so the barrel end, not the spoke wheel nut, but the larger barrel end of the truss rod will slide in there pretty well. So it's all looking pretty good. Checking with a little square to make sure everything sits at or just below the surface of the neck blank. Quick test of the original fingerboard, and we're all right. So we're moving right along on the Juvenile Delinquent, or the LP, Les Paul neck. We've got our big block of maple, rough cut to length. It's already square. We have our heel access spoke wheel truss rod channel cut in from about just between the nut and the first fret all the way down, and the spoke wheel cavity cut out. I've got about 3/4 of an inch. I'll end up cutting off the tail end, probably as much off the headstock end when we get there. But now we're ready to do a couple different cuts. One is our taper cut, the other is our profile cut, which we'll do first. And there are other things that we could be doing at this time too. We could cut our offset tenon while everything is nice and square, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to save that for later. And there's probably pros and cons to doing it now versus then, and vice versa for then versus now. Anyway, I'm leaving everything square at the moment to get all these other cuts made. So after all that, then we'll be ready to start shaping the back, rough shaping the back of the neck. Oh boy. Let's continue the next project. Getting ready to do just a little refining routing to the width, the taper of the neck. This is not a final step. This is just to take my original rough bandsaw cuts and get it a little bit closer to where it's going to be in the end. Here I'm using a tapered neck template that has dowels on the center. What I do is I drop that into the truss rod trench, so everything is then on center. And I'm doing, again, kind of a rough, refined routing just to bring the neck in closer, yet still fat of the fingerboard. And this is just so when I take it to the next step to start shaping the back of the neck, there's a little less material to cut away and a better visual of my final target. So maybe some extra steps, but I'm in no hurry at this point, and I enjoy using the router. Setting up the neck shaping fixture, adding the new cams that are designed and made for this neck itself. Everything is kind of modular. I'm moving more and more away from the wooden version I made a year or so ago, and more toward hopefully a little more refined and a little more accurate CAD and 3D printed versions. I've got some blocks that snap into the truss rod trench and will also snap into this extruded aluminum rail, so everything is forced to be on center. I have a mark where the face of the nut will be on the neck, and I line that up with a mark on the extruded aluminum. That way I know my cams are designed around that point. If I know where the face of the nut is, I can project the shapes of the neck cams out from that point. Locking everything together. That strap across the back of the heel is necessary. Helps hold everything where it needs to be. Here we're dropping on the shaping box itself and making sure everything swivels. And there is the base for the router. The router base will actually mount into that. And I'm using a bowl bit for this. I've used other bits. I'm still experimenting. Everything's an experiment. Adding a little bit of wax to the rail just help things slide a little bit better. And taking my time. I'm taking shallow passes, not trying to overshoot my target, because I do tend to get a little impatient and rush things, and then that just causes me more work. And I already have enough work at the moment. I'm trying to take it easy, going slow. I've been asked if this fixture is worthwhile and if it really saves any time over carving a neck by hand, and honestly I think it really does. Let's say I take about 15 minutes to do this rough carving here. I probably got another 45 minutes or so finishing out the volute and the heel, still rough. Probably another half hour to 45 minutes beyond that. Refining everything, doing my final sanding, getting everything smooth to where it's ready for finish. So, 2 hours maybe using this machine? I'm guessing if I did all of this by hand, I'd probably have 6 hours in it maybe. If I had to do all that hand carving and everything, I'd have sore elbows and sore shoulders and sore wrists, and probably some blood would be shed too. That's the way it goes. Well, that was about all the work right there. I'm taking the clamps off, pulling the neck off of the fixture. The centering pieces stay in the neck because they kind of snap into that center channel. And we have got the rough shaping done. Now, a lot of other work coming along. We're going to be doing the volute and the heel a little bit later. We're just getting it pushed in the right direction at this point. Using some scrap material from various cutoff parts of this process already, gluing some maple wings onto the sides of the headstock. At this point, I didn't know what the final headstock shape was going to be. I was still working on that with the owner of the guitar. As it turned out, we'll see later on, I only needed about 1/4 of an inch total material, but you know what? It's all right. Put this on, clamp it in place, set it aside to dry, go work on something else for a little while. Through the magic of video editing, a lot of time has passed. The glue has dried. I've done a little rough cutting, and now we're going to thin the headstock using the base that I used on the neck shaping fixture and the router, just in a different process, basically. I have stuck the neck to the bench using some super strong double-sided tape. It's kind of like carpet tape, if you ever handle that stuff. It's got adhesive on both sides. It is strong, it's super sticky. I was able to stick the headstock and the rest of the neck to the bench with this, sneak up on my final, or close to final thickness by routing the excess away, and then over to the drum sander, and we're just cleaning up the back side of the headstock a little bit, getting it a little closer to final dimension. I think we're going to be all right. Yep. Marking out where the nut goes and the center line on the headstock. I'm going to be drawing or sketching on the headstock shape here, just so I feel good about things. We're going to be cutting away some of that waste material now that we know what the headstock shape is going to be. Oh, look at that. We got some little imperfections in the wood, which will, for the most part, get cut away. The small little spot there is actually going to get partially routed away where the new binding will go. But here we're using a finish template that is the size of the fingerboard with binding on it. And this is my finish taper width of the neck that I need for fitting. I need to know with this type of neck tenon exact width on the neck, at least at the heel area, because it fits right up against the body. So using a compression bit, which is a really mean, angry bit, you keep your fingers way away from this thing, and it has a bearing on it. Actually, it has 2 bearings, but I've removed one. But it will slide, roll along that template that I had and cut away all the extra meat that I don't need. Here we go, we got some custom templates made and a little mortise bit, a short spiral cut mortise bit. I am cutting in the neck angle using the original neck as a template for all this stuff. It's really nice having that original neck in one piece. We're routing down to depth, giving it an eyeball or two there. Interesting. So there we go. We have our first neck fitting cut done. Now we're over to the bandsaw, cutting away a little bit of the waste material, getting it closer and closer to where we need. And then we have to actually start working here pretty soon. This is the fun stuff, the work. Oh boy. It's actually really nice about this point to see this big block of wood start to take shape and turning into something that you can kind of envision it being a guitar neck. You know, it doesn't look like just a big block, you know, a table leg or anything anymore. It's coming along. Cleaning up the neck pocket just a little bit. There's a lot of glue and some veneer for shims and things in there. Most of the drill holes that I put into the tenon to help remove the neck, there's a few of them on the fatter side of the body there, a few of the drill marks, but everything's getting sanded out and going to glue up and be hidden for eternity. This neck is not going anywhere. The neck, basically off the bandsaw, I'm testing it for size. I am probably 1 millimeter wide total at this point, so I'm starting to chisel things away, doing a lot of test fitting, chiseling a little more, test fit, chisel, scrape, sand, you name it. The rough shape of the neck has been refined. The rough shape of the headstock has been refined. It's looking good. We still have a very rough looking volute and a very rough looking heel, but the neck to body tenon has been refined and it fits really well. It's not so tight that you can't pull the neck out, and it's not so loose that it will fall out. It's also just about right where you get glue on it and you'll be able to get the neck in place without everything swelling and wedging the neck in the wrong place. So we're looking good. We've got the neck angle set really well for a bridge. At the blink of an eye, it'll be tomorrow. And also refining the shape of the neck, the heel, and the volute, all those good parts. As we continue the next project. It's looking good. I really couldn't be happier. Well, I'd be happier if the volute and the heel were all done, but that's coming pretty soon. Oh boy, we're making more templates. Have a chunk of 1/2 inch thick MDF and a 3D printed headstock template. The template was made using Adobe Illustrator, which is a vector-based drawing program. I did like half of the headstock shape. I mirrored that, basically flipped it on its center line to make a mirrored image. You know, it's exactly the same on both sides. I exported the Illustrator file as a DWG, which is a CAD drawing format file type. Took it online to a 3D CAD program called Onshape, which is a free program. You basically just create an account and learn how to use it. That's what I'm doing. I'm learning how to use it. Onshape, I was able to export a STP or STL file, a number of other files actually too. Then took my Onshape 3D designed headstock and printed it out using a 3D printer. I made the 3D template to then turn into an MDF template, which I then will stick to the headstock to do final shaping. But before I do that, I have to do rough cuts here, and cutting probably, 1/16 of an inch or so away from the line. Basically as close as I can get, leave the least amount of meat possible, especially with maple. We're going to be doing some routing. Tearing out the end grain of maple is a real thing. It's not good either. Router bits will grab it and ruin your day. So we want to be careful. I probably should have cut a little bit closer to this. And another thing I should have done, on the headstock where it's most likely to tear out, this shape I could easily take it to my belt sander and finish that shape. But I ended up using the router for 97.5% of it, and it all went pretty good. I did get one little chip in the end of the headstock, which I don't know if we're going to be able to see it here. My video is kind of screwed up on this. this is a dangerous thing. It's just nervous, painstaking thing. Most of the routing on the neck here was really easy, went well. It's just the very end, the tip of it where you're routing into end grain that makes me nervous. Ooh, a little bit of sanding or rasping mainly. Probably we'll call it rasping. This is really what I'll call the second half of the rough shaping of the neck. I'd mentioned having been questioned about how much time this whole process saves using that neck shaping fixture. And it, especially with maple, it saves a lot of elbow and shoulder work. Here I'm using a triangular rasp of some sort, Amazon rasp, getting the volute roughed out. It is still thicker than it needs to be, but that's okay. I can refine that easy enough. And now we're working on the heel. I decided it was had a little more meat in there than needed, so I did trim a little more away using some type of a Japanese paring knife, very sharp, straight edge blade. Keep your fingers away from that too, because it'll take the hide off you. Back to the rasp. And it's really going pretty good. This maple is very hard. Oh, look at that. A caulk tube with sandpaper on it. It fits that pretty well. So anyway, use whatever or misuse whatever tools you may have to get the job done. So it's looking pretty good. We got about 30 minutes in the rough shaping of the neck here. And it's really starting to look like a guitar neck. We're getting close. Well, hey everybody, thanks for hanging with me through this. It's looking pretty good. We got a lot of new things coming up very soon, so be sure to come back. Till next time, take care of yourself and those around you. Bye.